Welcome, everyone, to vpod.ai. This deep dive is sponsored by Stonefly, your trusted solution provider and advisor in enterprise storage, backup disaster recovery, hyper-converged VMware, Hyper-V, Proxmox cluster, AI servers, SA365, a turnkey security appliance, public and private cloud. Definitely check out stonefly.com for more info. Okay, so today we're embarking on a deep dive into an eating pattern that, well, it doesn't just top the charts year after year. It really seems to redefine what healthy eating truly means. We're talking, of course, about the Mediterranean diet. You've likely heard the name, but our mission today is to kind of peel back the layers. We want to uncover what really makes it so profoundly impactful. Why does it consistently outshine every fleeting food fad? And maybe most importantly, how can you begin to integrate this ancient, life-affirming way of eating into your own routine? So let's maybe unpack this first. And when we say Mediterranean diet, what exactly are we referring to? Is it like a strict rule book, do's and don'ts, or is there something more fundamental going on? Because it started, didn't it, as observations of like traditional eating patterns, particularly in places like Greece and Italy back in the mid-20th century, a concept popularized by scientists like Ansel Keys, I think.
That's a really crucial distinction. You're right. It's truly less a strict diet, and more a holistic, adaptable lifestyle. It's kind of a blueprint derived from how people traditionally ate in the Mediterranean basin. The core principles, they really emphasize an abundance of plant-based foods. So think generous servings of fresh fruits and vegetables, robust whole grains, hearty legumes, and maybe a daily handful of nuts. And extra virgin olive oil isn't just a component, it's pretty much the primary fat source. And while it is plant-forward, it does include moderate amounts of fish and seafood, some poultry, dairy, and even a glass red wine for many people. What it limits are things like red and processed meats, refined grains, lots of sweets, sugary drinks. It's really about achieving a well-orchestrated balance.
That distinction, less a strict diet and more a holistic lifestyle, that really resonates. And it's clearly not just an appealing concept. The data consistently backs up its enduring impact. Year after year, it's hailed as a gold standard. You see these expert panels like in the U.S. News & World Report's annual rankings, they've consistently placed it at #1 overall for 7 years running now.
7 years, yeah.
That's an impressive 4.8 out of 5 score, especially when you see it outperform so many other popular diet trends that just seem to come and go. So the big question is why? Why does it keep winning? What's the secret sauce, so to speak? Okay, so we've established what it is and that it's highly praised. Now let's dig into the really profound why behind its success. What are the proven health benefits? The stuff backed by science that make this eating pattern so powerful. What's maybe the most compelling evidence you've seen?
Well, what's truly fascinating here is the sheer breadth and depth of its impact. It goes way beyond just anecdotal stuff. There's recent research, including this really large study that followed over 25,000 U.S. women for up to 25 years. And it found that those who closely followed this pattern had a remarkable 23% lower risk of all-cause mortality.
Wow.
Yeah, all-cause. So to put that in perspective, that means nearly 1/4 fewer deaths from any cause over that long period. And this includes significant reductions in the risk of both cancer and cardiovascular disease, which, collectively are the top causes of death globally. It's not just hitting one or two things. It seems to be a comprehensive systemic boost to your body's resilience.
A 23% lower risk of all-cause mortality. Over 25 years. That's a number that really makes you stop and think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
About your plate. It's clearly not a quick fix, but it's a real testament to sustained, mindful choices. But it sounds like it's about more than just living longer. It's about living better, isn't it? What sort of chronic diseases does this way of eating really impact?
Absolutely. You're spot on. The benefits extend far beyond just longevity. This way of eating is associated with a reduced risk of, a whole array of chronic diseases. For cardiovascular health, the evidence is really strong. It effectively lowers the bad LDL cholesterol.
Right.
It can increase the good HDL and significantly reduces stroke risk. It's also shown to be highly effective in managing and reducing the risk of type 2 diabetes.
Okay.
And maybe less discussed, but really important, is its profound support for brain health. We see slower rates of cognitive decline and a lower risk of Alzheimer's disease.
That's huge.
It is. And beyond that, its powerful anti-inflammatory effects seem to positively influence autoimmune conditions. Things like psoriasis, rheumatoid arthritis, inflammatory bowel diseases, even asthma. And some research suggests it might even reduce the risk of severe sepsis.
It really does make you think of that old saying, let food be thy medicine. It feels like scientists are now confirming what maybe people knew intuitively centuries ago. But what are the actual
biological mechanisms. How are researchers explaining this incredible, wide-ranging impact?
Indeed. And the research is getting much better at pinpointing the specific biological mechanisms at play. The benefits seem to stem from positive changes in really fundamental processes like metabolism and inflammation. We see improvements in things like triglyceride-rich lipoproteins. Those are certain fat-carrying particles in your blood that, when they get too high, are linked to heart disease.
Got it.
There's also typically a reduction in adiposity, excess body fat, and a significant improvement in insulin resistance. So it's a really comprehensive impact on your body's fundamental processes, which is probably why it's so consistently recommended by health professionals everywhere.
Right. We've covered the why behind its success, both historically and scientifically. It's pretty compelling.
Yeah.
So let's connect those dots directly to, your kitchen.
Yeah.
What are the key players on the plate that deliver these amazing benefits, and how do they work together? Because it's not just a list of good foods, it's how they interact, right? That's synergy.
Absolutely. That's a perfect word for it. Synergy. The components work together, like a choir, where every voice contributes to this harmonious whole. It makes the overall effect greater than just the sum of its parts. Okay, so the ultimate pillar, you could argue, is extra virgin olive oil, EVOO. It's not just a fat, it's really a functional food. It's incredibly rich in monounsaturated fats like oleic acid, which are known to be heart healthy. But here's the deeper insight. It contains these powerful antioxidants and polyphenols, like oleocanthal. It's a compound with similar anti-inflammatory properties to ibuprofen. Yeah. And these compounds aren't just anti-inflammatory, they're antithrombotic, so they help prevent blood clots, and they protect against the oxidation of blood lipids, all contributing to lower LDL cholesterol. And it's typically consumed uncooked, maybe on salads, or just lightly heated, which helps preserve these delicate compounds.
Makes sense.
Then you have fruits and vegetables. The sheer volume and the daily variety of seasonal fruits and vegetables, often eaten raw or just lightly cooked, that's a real hallmark. Beyond the fiber and the vitamins like A, C, B complex, and minerals, potassium, zinc, iron, it's the rich spectrum of specific phytonutrients. Things like unique polyphenols found in Mediterranean produce. Researchers are finding these have profound effects on your gut microbiome diversity and cellular repair, going way beyond just basic nutrient intake. Key antioxidants, too, like lycopene found richly in tomatoes, watermelon, guava. They combat oxidative stress and inflammation throughout the body. Plus, they fill you up for very few calories. High satiating power.
Okay, so loads of plants. What else?
Legumes. So beans and lentils. They're an incredibly important source of plant-based protein and fiber. They help balance out the lower meat consumption. And they're wonderfully sustainable, too, which is a nice bonus.
No point.
Next up, whole grains. These provide complex carbohydrates, essential for sustained energy, along with fiber and B vitamins. And here's that fascinating nugget we talked about before. Research suggests that if you cook things like pasta or rice and then let them cool completely in the fridge before you reheat them, it doesn't spike your blood sugar nearly as much. It forms resistant starch. It's a great tip for anyone mindful of their blood sugar levels.
That is interesting. I've heard that.
Yeah. The diet also naturally features low salt intake. This helps counteract something called hyperosmotic stress, basically, the cellular strain from too much salt, and the pro-inflammatory responses linked to high salt intake in other diets, which is exactly why it's inversely associated with hypertension or high blood pressure.
Right, less salt.
And finally, fish. Regularly consumed, especially those fatty varieties like salmon, sardines, mackerel, they provide those beneficial omega-3 fatty acids, including DHA. DHA not only improves your overall antioxidant status, but it's absolutely crucial for brain health.
The synergy you describe where each component kind of amplifies the others, it's truly fascinating. For listeners trying to adopt this, out of all these superstar ingredients, is there maybe a gateway food or component you'd recommend starting with? Something that delivers a pretty significant impact but is relatively easy to integrate.
That's a great question because, getting started can feel a bit overwhelming. If I had to pick one gateway component, I'd probably say extra virgin olive oil.
EVOO again.
Yeah. It's just so foundational. It provides immediate flavor benefits, which helps, and it has such broad, demonstrable health impacts. Simply swapping out butter or maybe less healthy cooking oils for EVOO in your daily cooking, using it on salads, that's an incredibly impactful first step. It immediately shifts the fat profile of your diet in a really positive direction.
Okay, that sounds doable. That's a practical and encouraging place to start. So this all sounds fantastic, but like you said, for many of us, making a big shift can feel overwhelming, especially if our current eating habits are, well, let's just say, less than ideal. Maybe
Yeah.
a bit too much takeout, too many sugary drinks. You know the drill. How do you actually begin to slowly transition into the Mediterranean way of eating without feeling like you're suddenly depriving yourself or trying to do this massive overnight overhaul?
Yeah, you've hit on the most common challenge, absolutely. And the key truly is gradual, sustainable change. Not an overnight flip. Think of it more as habit replacement and addition rather than just drastic removal. Like you said, you don't have to throw out all your so-called unhealthy food immediately. You can just phase it out over time.
Okay, so step by step.
Exactly. First, maybe start small. Add first. Begin by adding healthy foods before you try to cut other things out. For instance, maybe just commit to incorporating one piece of fruit a day, or make sure at least one vegetable is on your plate with each meal. This positive addition often naturally displaces some of the less healthy options without feeling like a sacrifice.
Right. Add, don't just subtract.
Precisely. Then make smart swaps. These are those simple, direct exchanges we talked about. Use extra virgin olive oil instead of butter or other cooking oils. Choose poultry, fish, or beans more often instead of red meat. Swap white bread and refined grains for whole grains. And perhaps one of the easiest wins. Replace sugary drinks with water, unsweetened tea, maybe even kombucha if you miss that fizzy feeling.
Good ideas.
And embrace meal prep. I mean, for those with busy schedules, and let's be honest, who isn't busy? Meal prepping is such a game changer. You could batch cook grains like brown rice or quinoa on the weekend, make a big pot of vegetarian chili or maybe bean salad that lasts for a few lunches. Prep your veggies by washing and chopping them ahead of time. It makes grabbing them so much quicker.
Definitely.
Sheet pan dinners are great. Too quick cooking, minimal cleanup. Even simple things like overnight oats or yogurt parfaits can really simplify breakfast.
Yeah.
I know for me, just having pre-chopped veggies in the fridge makes me far more likely to grab them when I'm hungry instead of, reaching for chips or something.
Yeah, it removes the barrier.
Totally. And when you're actually eating, think proportions. Try to aim for roughly half your plate to be fruits and vegetables, then divide the remaining half between whole grains and lean protein. Cleveland Clinic suggests aiming for at least 3 servings of vegetables daily and maybe 1 to 4 tablespoons of EVOO. It's a useful visual guide.
Half the plate veggies, got it.
And finally, try to involve the family. Gently. Instead of just imposing changes, which can cause friction, maybe invite your loved ones to try new dishes with you. You could say something like, hey, I made this really good lentil soup, want some? Or let's try this new fish recipe tonight, what do you think? It creates a more positive experience around healthy food, hopefully without making anyone feel judged or forced into it.
That's all incredibly practical advice. I can see how those small steps add up. But, many people might feel a bit of initial resistance or even kind of mourn their old favorite foods. What's one common hurdle you see people overcome? Or maybe an unexpected joy they discover when they make this transition?
Yeah, a common hurdle is often that initial perception that healthy food is bland or, oh, I'll miss my comfort foods so much. But the unexpected joy is almost universal, I find. People discover this richness of flavor they just weren't expecting. Fresh, seasonal ingredients, all the aromatic herbs you can use, the depth of flavor from good olive oil. It often leads people to say, wow, I actually prefer this now.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah, they realize they're not just eating for health benefits, but for pure enjoyment, too. And that's a really powerful motivator to keep going.
That's genuinely encouraging. The idea that the pleasure of food isn't sacrificed, but maybe even enhanced. You mentioned earlier, though, that the Mediterranean diet is more than just the food itself. It's really a way of life.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on that for our listener? What other elements make it so powerful, extending beyond just what's on the plate?
Right. And this raises an important question. How do we weave this into our broader lives to get the full impact? Because the full benefits seem to be realized when the food choices are integrated with other healthy lifestyle habits. This includes things like regular physical activity, and notably, often engaging in that activity with others, walks, group activities, that sort of thing.
The social aspect.
Exactly. It also involves making meal preparation more of a communal act sometimes, turning cooking into a shared experience, maybe with family or friends, and enjoying meals together often at a more leisurely pace than we're used to. It fosters social connection and mindfulness around eating. It also generally means cooking at home more often than eating out, and whenever possible, opting for locally sourced seasonal foods, which not only tend to taste better, but also connect you more deeply to your environment and the seasons. It's really about creating a more holistic approach to well-being that truly reflects those historical traditions of the Mediterranean basin, where food is just deeply intertwined with social connection, daily living, and maybe a slightly slower pace of life. It's not just what you eat, but how and with whom you eat it. That seems to matter too.
So maybe consider this. In a world that's constantly chasing the newest diet trend, the latest quick fix, the Mediterranean diet kind of reminds us that true, lasting health isn't always a new discovery. Maybe it's often a return to ancient wisdom, connecting our plates not just to our personal well-being, but to community, culture, maybe even the health of the planet itself. What if the real aha moment isn't always in finding something brand new, but in rediscovering what's always been there, just waiting for us to embrace it? And that brings us to the end of our deep dive for today. Thank you so much for joining us. Before we go, just a quick note from our sponsor. Stonefly now offers a 100 TB immutable and air-gapped SSO NAS for just $8,995. That's a really powerful, secure storage solution for an incredible price. You can find out more at stonefly.com.